Because of the way I teach, I spend a lot of time online, and so I've had to deal with the issue of technological addiction, especially being sucked into social media. And of course, like most people, I carry one of these things around with me. It's a kind of glass doorway that leads into a world of endless distraction. So spending a lot of time online and carrying around a device that allowed me to do that anytime I wanted, I'd often find myself spending way too much time on the internet. My work would suffer, and sometimes I'd stay up too late reading fascinating articles, usually about science and psychology and Buddhism. What I was reading was good, but I just couldn't stop, and I'd end up depriving myself of sleep. So the question naturally arose for me, how can my Buddhist practice help me with addiction to online activities? Now, the Buddha, of course, didn't say anything about the internet or social media, but he did have a lot to say about dealing with and overcoming compelling patterns of thought and behaviour. And so, over the next 4 weeks, I'll be looking at our addiction to social media and to the internet more generally through the lens of a sutta or discourse from the early texts. It's called the Vitakka Sutta, and it offers tools for working with compelling patterns of mental activity. Vitakka means thinking, and Santana literally means a resting place, and so it means end or stopping or cessation. So this is the discourse on quieting our compelling mental thoughts and habits. The Vitakka offers 5 tools to help us quiet our thoughts. Now, it talks about these tools in the context of meditation, but the principles it outlines can be used in any context in our lives, including when we're on social media. In a way, you could think of the Vitakka Sutta as the social media sutra. The first of the 5 tools this discourse offers is described in the following way. Take a practitioner who's focusing on some object in meditation that gives rise to bad, unskillful thoughts connected with desire, hate, and delusion. That practitioner should focus on some other object in meditation connected with the skillful. As they do so, those bad thoughts, imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion, are given up and come to an end. And then the Buddha offers an illustration. It's like a deft carpenter or their apprentice who'd knock out or extract a large peg with a finer peg. Now, although this is talking about meditation, it directly relates to our online activities as well. I'll just note that it's not that social media or so on are inherently bad, but that our minds often turn to them in an unhealthy, addictive way. And so we could include here not just Facebook, Twitter and so on, but other online activities that can be compelling, from reading news articles to playing games. There are a number of ways we can be unskillful online, many more than I can mention. The essence of any compelling activity, of course, is that we find it easy to start and hard to stop. We're caught up in craving. We might crave continual input. We just don't want to stop browsing. We might crave the reassurance we get when people like or comment on our posts. We might get disappointed when people don't do those things. And yet another common form of unskillfulness is when we're angered by opinions we disagree with. We might, out of anger, say things calculated to hurt people or end up blocking them so that we don't have to face up to our own reactions to them. All of this involves what the Buddha called unskillful thoughts connected with desire, hate, and delusion. The first suggestion the Buddha makes is that we simply turn the mind to something more wholesome instead. There is a basic principle of Dharma practice. Mindfulness gives us choice. Mindfulness allows us to see that some of the choices we make will make us happier and others unhappier. It isn't always comfortable when we become mindful, when we recognize that there's something going on like addiction or anger that makes our lives miserable. But one of the things we need to do is to stop blaming ourselves in response to our addictions. Blaming ourselves is just us responding to unskillfulness with further unskillfulness. Having a tendency to be addicted isn't something to take personally. It's not weakness. It's just causes and conditions unfolding in our lives. Of course, it's important that we don't let ourselves off the hook. But self-hatred just tends to make us miserable, and addiction feeds on misery. So we don't blame ourselves. So first, with mindfulness, we recognize that we're doing something that's making us unhappy. You recognize that you're causing yourself to suffer. And now you can become aware of what kind of unhelpful mental habit has arisen. What's the unskillful activity that you need to switch from? In my experience, the three most common forms are: first, craving stimulation; second, craving attention; and third, becoming angry. Let's deal with those one at a time. Firstly, if you're craving stimulation, you can take a mindful break. You can step back, notice physical sensations in the body, notice your feelings, notice the sensory reality of your surroundings. Now, this all provides a different kind of stimulation from online activities, a more wholesome and grounding kind of input for the mind. And while online stimulation can never truly satisfy us, being mindfully aware of the richness of our experience does leave us feeling more fulfilled. So here, you're switching your mind from mindless stimulation to mindful appreciation of your direct experience. You can learn to trust that this moment is enough. You can be content right now. Second, if you're craving attention, then you probably aren't feeling good about yourself. There's probably an underlying sense that you don't matter, or you're not a very good person, which is why you're dependent on seeking reassurance from other people. You're probably not valuing yourself or giving yourself appreciation. You may even be putting yourself down. So to switch to a skillful alternative to craving attention, you can give yourself some love, compassion, and appreciation. You can place your hand on your heart and say to yourself, "It's okay, I'm here for you. You matter and I care about you. I'll take care of you." Let yourself feel this love. You can learn to trust that you are enough. Thirdly, when we get angry, which is the third way we often behave unskillfully online, you probably don't have enough kindness and empathy in your heart at that particular moment. Kindness and empathy toward others. When you're seeing others acting or speaking in ways that disturb you, you react with ill will. Maybe you speak or write unkindly. Maybe you insult people. Switching to a more skillful way of relating means bringing more empathy and compassion into the present moment. So first, recognize that if you're angry or outraged, you're suffering. So once again, place a hand on your heart and offer yourself some kindness. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be at peace. And then remind yourself that the person you're angry with is a feeling being too, just as you are. They feel happiness just as you do. They suffer just as you do. They prefer happiness rather than suffering just as you do. And then, having connected empathetically in this way, perhaps you'll find that you naturally relate and communicate in a more empathetic and kinder way to others. Just a word about the image that the Buddha used to illustrate this tool. He said that switching our focus to a skillful object is like using a small peg to knock out a larger peg. I mean, that's what a carpenter would do to move a cartwheel, for example. Now, although you might think that the forces of addiction and anger are powerful, and your mindfulness and compassion are weak, a small pin can knock out a big pin. Your mindfulness or compassion, even though they may seem feeble, just need to be used in a directed way. And remember that when a carpenter uses one pin to remove another, it doesn't take just one blow of the hammer. It takes repetition. So don't be discouraged if it takes time to change your habits. Just keep working at it over and over again. So what we've learned here is that the first tool for dealing with unhelpful behaviours and mental habits around social media is to switch our attention to an object connected with the skillful, bringing skillfulness into our present moment experience. When you're craving stimulation, you can learn to trust the present moment. When you're craving attention, you can learn to trust that you are enough, that you matter, that you can support yourself. When you're angry, you can learn to trust in the power of connecting empathetically, first with yourself and then with others. And in this kind of way, you can switch from unhealthy ways of relating to social media to having a healthier relationship with them. One last thing. I've said a lot about trust. Trusting the present moment, trusting that you matter, trusting your own capacity to connect empathetically. And sometimes when I catch myself tempted to mindlessly pick up my phone so that I can check Twitter or read some news articles online, I say to myself, trust the Dharma. This is just a simple reminder to myself of everything that I've said above about the potential and the power of making mindful choices. Trust the Dharma means trust yourself. It means trusting your immediate experience. It means trusting that this moment right here can be deeply fulfilling if you simply accept it. So I'll pick up my phone in order to mindlessly go online. I'll remind myself, trust the Dharma. And then I can gently put the phone back down again.